Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, it's being called the Venmo of NIL. We'll be talking to the founder of a game-changing company next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm sure you heard a couple years ago, everything changed when it came to student athletes making money off of their likeness. To talk about that today, Brent Chapman. He's the founder of a game-changing company, My NIL Pay. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Okay, so take everybody back in time. So what happened 2 years ago?
So 2 years ago, with some pressure from the Supreme Court and different things, the NCAA decided to change the rules around student athletes being able to make money while they play sports, which has been called NIL. Really, it's their ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness.
And catch everybody up. Some student athletes now are making millions of dollars?
Some. I would say it's very few. Initially, NIL was created, or the NCAA's intentions were, think of like professional deals and sponsorships, just bringing that down to the student athlete level, right? And it's definitely evolved in the past year and a half from those sponsorship deals. But think about this. Who's going to get those deals, right?
Just
Bryce Young, Arch Manning, the top kids, the big names, the ones that can sell products, right? And so that is why My NIL Pay was started. It's like, how can we get this NIL access to all student athletes, not just the big names?
Absolutely. We're going to show a little video that you guys created on your Twitter, and I want you to kind of narrate. It's just as easy as pulling up an app. Is that right?
It is an app on your iPhone or Android device, and that's it. You literally just type in the kid's name, put in however much, minimum $20, that case 45, and that's literally it. That's how fast it is.
Wow. How long had you been thinking about this?
I came up with it shortly after the rules changed. I was at a camp with my son. He's in middle school. He's a pretty good football player. We were at a national camp, and I was just talking to some of the young men there that had some of the early NIL deals, and they were explaining it to me, and I'm like, man, this can be done better.
Yeah. He's a very popular guest on podcasts, and before we show this clip, I want you to kind of set it up. Whose show are you on?
Nate Newton and Isaiah Stanback, they're former Cowboys, and they have a local podcast show that they do talking about football and different topics such as this.
Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
So you're saying that Nate's college and my college made money off of us?
I'm saying that when you were player of the year for your school, you probably would have gotten some serious
bread.
Okay. Yes.
Cheese, cheddar. All
that. Dough.
There you go.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Whatever you want to put on it. Okay.
And I think people can argue whether, that's fair or not, right? But
how much money would Reggie Bush had made in college?
I mean, millions, right? Millions. Because this is what these guys are getting now, right? $3, $4, $5 million a year.
And so how would we know? What I'm asking is, you got the ability to make all of this legal.
Yes.
Whereas Reggie Bush still made millions, but it was illegal.
Yeah, that's right.
So how do we look at this and explain to us, how do we do this right so the kids will be safe and the colleges will be safe?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of explain where it went initially and then kind of where we come in.
Right.
So how it initially started was the idea and concept, I believe they thought was all that stuff we just talked about from a professional level. bring that to college. So get a shoe deal, Bryce Young or, Arch Manning can get, that be on some trading cards and video games and that type of stuff. Right. And that was fine at first. And that's kind of when that was about 14 months ago, I came up with the concept of this company. And I was like, all right, that's great for 5% of the student athletes. You guys, the top guys that go pro, right? But what about women's athletics? What about D2? What about D3? Lower D1? What about the Olympic sports? Those kids aren't going to see any of this sponsorship money. Right. So our app was created for them. And then as it transpired in between now and the time that I built the product, the life of the collective came into play. And the collective is essentially a group not affiliated with the university, and they're very careful to make sure that they're not. They raise money. It can be for-profit or nonprofit. So the nonprofit is tax-deductible money. And then they will create events for the athletes to participate in so that they can pay them that money. So you'll hear things like they're going to pay the guy $200,000 a year. So they'll schedule, you're going to go to these 5 charity events and do these things, and you're going to get paid on each one.
So like an agency.
Yes.
Okay.
So what my NIL Pay does is kind of cut all that out. Okay. So we are a platform that allows fans to legally and NCAA compliant direct pay student athletes.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, I could show you how it works.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, this is awesome. So Nate, let me first, let me record this screenshot. Give me the name of a player that a college guy.
Oh man, I don't know.
All right.
I get Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
You gotta give me. Is that one I can spell so you guys can see?
Michael, M-I-C.
So I go in here and I just do the search. Michael.
Yeah, and Penix, Penix.
And
see if he's in there.
X. There he is. Michael Penix Jr., University of Washington. Right. So you click him. There he is.
Heisman winner this year.
Wow. Yeah, right there. There he is. See him?
Yeah, show him to our fans.
They're going to have the screen. They're watching what we're doing right here. So all I do is I hit direct pay athlete. I say, I want to send Michael $50. I hit reveal, send direct payment. There's my summary. I pay sales tax. We'll get into that in a minute. Remember, I just talked about tax deductible. No. We're giving Uncle Sam in Texas State their money. Right. That's very important. Okay. We hit pay. I pick my credit card. Right. And that is it. Michael got $50.
So Brent, tell us how you go about making sure everything is compliant.
Yeah, so in that clip, we showed how we paid. We don't really talk about how that's legal, right? So you cannot pay a athlete through Venmo or PayPal or something like that. So there has to be a quid pro quo at fair market value. Those are sort of the two major rules. So the quid pro quo, meaning the athlete has to do something in exchange for it. So like I said, those brand deals, that's obviously they're going to wear the thing, they're going to be in a commercial, they're going to have the shoe, right? What's happened, unfortunately, though, not unfortunately, is as collectives and some of these other people are trying to get money to the kids, they can't just pay it to them. So there has to be this exchange. So what we do is we issue the fan a piece of digital art. On that digital art is their name and digital signature. That is the quid pro quo. That is no different than if they signed a basketball or a football or whatever, right? It's just they're signing a digital asset digitally. And so now the unique part about all this is, well, what's that worth? Well, the fair market value as defined by the IRS on a non-fungible token, NFT, is whatever the buyer and seller agree. That's sort of the magic within my NIL Pay is we are minting that piece of digital art in the blockchain.
Wow.
Which makes it unique.
I think you're absolutely brilliant, Brent, and you've already gotten the attention of the media. We're going to show a couple of headlines, starting with this one, Venmo of student athletes. That had to feel good.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say it is like the Venmo of student athletes.
Sure,
that is right.
And then this next one, tell us about this one.
This is really awesome. So Andy and his wife, Jordan, kind of heard about my NIL Pay, had reached out and said, hey, we want to do this for TCU. We want to give every student athlete at TCU some money. So they did. And on our public launch day, which was May 11th, they sent money to every TCU student athlete through the app, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. What's been the reaction to the app so far?
Incredibly positive. I'm getting phone calls and emails and messages on Twitter and Instagram from athletes like, hey, this is so awesome. Thank you so much. They're very grateful. Universities, some are like, this is the greatest thing ever. Others are like, explain this to me. Nothing's been negative to date, which has been really great. Everyone's really positive. The one thing that I've figured out is everybody involved, whether it's collectives or universities or fans or agents, they all just want to figure out what's the best way to help the student athletes monetize their NIL, and My NIL Pays a new way. So they're asking about it and trying to figure out where it fits in.
And it occurs to me that in some way you almost become like a scorekeeper for the athlete's brand because, athlete has a career game. You would probably be able to see in real time how that athlete's being, rewarded or
That's correct. Yeah. And even it's like we're 10 days old. Yeah. And this weekend, there were 2 plays. One was a SportsCenter top 10 and another gentleman for Texas A&M hit 3 home runs. And we saw an uptick where 5, 6, 7, 8 people were sending those student athletes money. They had seen it on Twitter or on ESPN and were supporting them. Now, that's in the early days. Imagine when it has larger awareness and it's a national scene. I mean, the kid could get $100,000, $200,000 in $20, $50 payments.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your ingenuity and, much success headed your way, I'm sure. We've only got a minute left. Final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
I think how I like to, think about this is, I agree with you. This is a great idea, but like with every great idea, it means nothing if people don't know about it.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to evangelize to people is awareness, right? Tell your friends and family, tweet about it, Instagram about it, support your student athletes, whether it's someone in your family, somebody right? Because the way that we can help the this is a great idea to help student athletes, but everyone needs to know about it in order to do that.
Yes.
So at this point, I'm just saying, let people know, let's make people aware, and let's, as a community, help benefit student athletes.
And how can they download the app?
They can go to their iPhone on the App Store or to the Google Play Store on Android, or even to the web, www.mynilpay.com. You can do on the web. But I love the app experience. The app was designed to be on your phone. So
outstanding. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're going to end with the website one more time, which is mynilpay.com. The great Brent Chapman. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.